June the 18th, 2025. Guys, this is not news that I enjoyed talking about because it affects us directly here being in the deep southeast. But it's saying the highest humidity levels started yesterday and they're going to continue for 2 weeks. And it is brutal outside right now. It's even I'm looking now, it's 81 degrees on one of my weather machines and 99% humidity with the heat index at 90. And it's going to get brutal today, but it's going to increase because we're dealing with a heat dome right in this area. Now, the purple areas, like you see over the southeast, that's extreme humidity. Coming down into Michigan, the lighter colors very high into the gold, moderate into the green, some in the gray. And the gray along the west coast more than likely has to do with the oceans. Now, we got a hurricane out here in the Pacific, and that's just telling us that we're that close to the season beginning. But right now, this happened not as bad last year, but 2 years ago, guys, it was brutal. And this is what set up. I talked about it. It started with, again, a dome setting up. Some meteorologists don't like to call it a heat dome. I don't know why, but they complain about it when we do. They got another name, but it's a heat dome. It sets up their high-pressure dome and lets the heat stay trapped in it. But this is going to be something you've got to pay very close attention to. When they're coming in now and talking about this much humidity, guys, everything's going to be dangerous. You don't want to get stranded out on the highways in the heat. You want to make sure your radiators are in good shape, your antifreeze, things like that. You got extra water at home. And we've seen blackouts come in this heat just as we do in the ice storms, haven't we? So this is what we're dealing with. This is 2 weeks of this. We'll have to go from there. This says the hottest temps of the northern hemisphere summer are approaching, set to scorch the central U.S. this week before spreading into the northeast. Heat dome impact timeline. Who gets hit and when? Central Plains starts tomorrow. Heat sets in Thursday. Mid-Mississippi Valley scorcher begins Friday. Upper Midwest and Northeast heat arrives over the weekend, peaking early next week. Now, again, guys, it was hot yesterday, but the humidity was not what it is now. This morning was brutal and just being out about 5 minutes already. It says the hottest weather this season so far will build over the central U.S. later this week with widespread highs in the 90s and some 100-degree readings in store from the Rockies to the Mississippi Valley. They're saying parts of the Great Lakes and the interior Northeast have yet to reach 90 degrees so far this year, according to the Southeast Regional Climate Center. A few locations could approach or top 100 degrees during the heat wave, including Denver, which only happens twice a year on average. New York City and Philadelphia could also flirt with the 100-degree mark during the peak of the heat wave next week. New York's Central Park hasn't reached 100 degrees since July 18th, 2012, according to the National Weather Service. Now, that could break. If you look at the map, you got temperatures, and all the dates start on Sunday. Kansas City, 91, Monday, 91, Tuesday, 90. Then add your humidity. Chicago, 96 is your high Sunday and Monday, Tuesday, 91. Atlanta, 92, 92, 94 for those 3 days. Little Rock, 96, 95, and 95. Now, Raleigh, you're going to be in that same group, but hotter. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, 95. Monday, 99, Tuesday, 99. When they say that, guys, watch for it to do what it's going to do in Washington. See Tuesday, 101. Sunday, 95. Monday, 98. New York, 90. 96, and 99. Again, it's going to be brutal, just like they're talking about. So go ahead and prepare for that. Our Huskies, they have a big backyard, really big. And they can run around the back and all through the side, up through the trees and all. But they love the smaller yard in the front. It's the greener grass, on the other side of the fence. And so they have to get out there every day and run around, get their anxiety out. Then they run back in the doggy door and cool off. Well, that didn't last but about 3 or 4 minutes this morning. They ran out. I was out there with some garbage day, getting that stuff, all that lined up. And, man, I came back in, and they followed me. They had no desire to stay out any longer, and I've got 3 in the office, and I see the rest in the living room out the door. They're all inside in the air conditioner. They have to have it. They're Huskies. We don't mind. It's a little extra trouble, a lot of hair and sweeping, but they're like our kids. Now, here's a summer chart, and it's a 30-year average, okay? The green line right there is 30-year average. And what we're dealing with is dealing from the middle of May up to the end of August in this loop. You're looking at the lower 48 average temps plus 2-week outlook. And what you're seeing, this is what we've been dealing with right here for this year. And now we're expected to go way above it. This chart starts about today, right here on this first peak. Goes into here, then this is June 30th. On this peak, it shows it dropping down. I hope that happens. But it's hard to, when you're at the end of August, guys, that's kind of hard to do in the middle of July. We're just going to have to wait and see about that. But we're above this 30-year average, this much. And the average here would be around, looks like this is 75, maybe 78, 77 right here. And this is bringing it at least 5 or 6 degrees, maybe 7 higher than that. We're above 80 and to the 80, very close to 85. So a big difference. Adding 10 degrees to the humidity is tough. And a lot of people are going to see it today. But again, guys, it was so hard to prepare 2 years ago because it was so unexpected. Gardens burn up, lawns burn up. The only difference I've seen this year is that the rains here have kept the temperature down in the afternoons, and that's helped. And guys, the sun's weather controls Earth's weather. It controls it. And what we're seeing now is the shields dip down right here a little earlier. And again, it's hot out there, but when the red lines and the black lines separate across the center black line, that's open shields. The further they're apart, like right in that area, that's the further wider they're opening. Now, the density was dropping. That's how thick this plasma clouds are. And then it peaked up right here, guys. And it's steady. Same way with solar wind. We're at around 450 right now, right in that area. And been around 500 and above. And we spiked here close to 600 kilometers per second. Not quite. And that's very fast. You're a million miles per hour in that range. Now, these are images from our sun via the SDO satellite. And we had an X flare yesterday. You see it right across there. And we got an increasing chance for X flares. We have some spots that are moving away from us, some that are coming in. And this is a coronal opening in the bottom, and that's got a lot to do with that increasing solar wind speed right now. What I'm talking about, guys, is between the sun heating the upper atmosphere and the extra humidity, it's going to be brutal. And again, there's still a chance of X flares continuing now. Now, different cameras, same satellite. There are 12 of them, by the way, on this SDO satellite. This is a coronal opening in the magnetic canopy of the sun. Solar wind's pouring straight through there. You got some pretty nice filaments right along this edge, too. And you definitely see some activity starting here, another sunspot region coming in. But again, this coronal hole is the last thing we needed at this point, because I've said it before, the magnetic canopy that you see across the sun, you see the loops here and the loops here. As the energy of the sun is radiated outward, these magnetic loops will trap some of it, pull it back into the sun. But if that magnetic canopy is not in place, you're just a wide open shot. And that's what we're feeling now. The quicker this gets around, it will help with the heat coming in on us. Now, we'd possibly, again, have a chance for some X flares. Let's take a look at that. And late yesterday, that's when the X flare hit. Now, this is universal time, but I think it was a X1.2, and that's where it was indicated here. But here's what I'm talking about. On a normal day, your X flare chance will be 0.05. And now it's not. It's 25%, 99% chance of C flare, just because they don't want to say that you're going to have 100%. Then M flare 75 proton events at your density. Radiation proton is 10%. Now, we're not in a G1 magnetic storm yet, but coming on, let's see, that would be Saturday. We're expected to go into a G1. More of that solar wind opening is going to be coming at our planet. So that's going to be building up again. 2 weeks to be prepared, guys. Now, this is the sunspot situation we're dealing with. Here's that approaching very bright sunspot area. And there's a mist print here when they did this. It happens. But do you see 4116 here and 4116 here? This is actually 4114. 4011, 4112 is 4113, 4114. And this one has a triple magnetic configuration. It's stable, but it has all the potentials for this strong X-flares. And when you have the triple magnetics involved, that is when it becomes dangerous right there. And this one is Earth-facing. With the X-flare now is, they're not tracking it for some reason. It threw a CME out, but it's very weak, they're saying, and it's not really going to affect our planet. There wasn't a large CME involved with it. We'll see, I'm sure that we'll see a bump in it, but they are not tracking it on any of the CME tracker models. And a quick look at CERN live. Again, this is universal time. You can see it tick off here. Beam 1 and beam 2 are not exactly lined up. You can see some scattering and some dropping here, but they are running at very high power through most of the day, 6,700 tera-electron volts per beam, which puts it, again, well over their 1350 average, approaching now 1400 TeV or 14 giga-electron volts. Very powerful. It always weakens our shields. It increases the heat on the planet. Things like that. It's just not good. And it's the largest machine on the planet. Something we don't need at all. And I don't care what good they say it comes, that you can get from it. What type of experiment? Some say, you know, they're trying to open portals. But when you see it collapse the magnetopause the way that it does, then there's something seriously wrong with their planning, unless their plan is to destroy the planet. And it's just not good timing. I don't understand why that gigantic machine was ever put there. And guys, it's taxpayer paid from nations around the planet, and the people that work there don't have to pay taxes. What's all that about? I don't know. The new coating on the cryogenic units has got everything very cool. Look at this. Everything's in the green. You've seen some sections turn red, and some of these lines start going into a sine wave here. This red line is a combination of each one of these sections. So when one fluctuates, you can see it here, and this will start to red, and you'll see the beams completely taken down at that point. They're not being taken down. Again, live as we speak, this is your power. The blue and red beams are the left and right ones, and when they collide, they create energy. And the energy is measured in the black line. So right in here, more than likely, we saw a cryo unit get a little red, and they let that cool down and right back up. Same thing, these pulses. And notice that they are hitting 6,700 or 6,799. Might as well say 6,800 give electron volts per side. Or again, your 6.7 point or 67.9 tera electron volts. That's a tremendous amount of power. Guys, and just quickly, I'm going to do an updated video with more information. But Trump had said yesterday, you got to surrender to Iran. There's no other choice. They don't want to have to kill the Ayatollah, but he will if he has to. If you continue to order missiles fired into Israel, and more than likely our ships are on high standby there in the Middle East. And they're threatening now to attack U.S. Army bases and military bases throughout their Air Force bases. And our son was there in two different instances, Qatar and one other place. And so we have, when I say we, I'm talking about the parents and grandparents in the U.S. We have people involved there. It's more important than you think. But they're saying that they will resolutely resist and impose peace. Now, both the U.S. and Trump has said they have complete air control. What's happening right now is Israel is, I'm not sure if it's right at this moment, but the latest reports are that they're bombing the factories where they make the centrifuges to make the nuclear weapons. So that's being taken out, and now the heat's coming down on the Khomeini. Of course, the war hit pigs like Graham and all are squealing to go all out. They'll make a lot of money in the industrial complex. They'll see their bloodlust temporarily satisfied, which it will never be totally. And you're going to see a religious holy war if they take this guy out, I think. What the other possibility is they become so damaged in the next day or so that they cannot respond. Again, we have complete air superiority. This will be in an update. We may go do some live cams over there. We'll see what's happening. In the comments, if you've got some information, put them there and we'll take a look at it and see what we can do to get all the information put into one place and get it up, guys. It's a days of information now, very important. It's a heads up. Be safe.